Let's see. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. Oh, hello. As my cat walks through the screen. Hi, Pokey. And she's gone. Oh, awesome. So, welcome. I am Kep. This is the Z-Man, whichever one we want to go with today. Everything's kind of fucked up. I might just have to restart and do a new whole new thing, but we'll see. I'm from the greater state of Iowa, northeast side, Cedar Rapids area. It's been hot this week. It's pretty freaking warm. A little bit on the muggy meter where you break a good sweat just walking to the car. So, but we have it. We're used to it. But this is normal. This is why we have air conditioners in our homes. We're one of the top states that has air conditioning. Now, it has changed. I mean, we've get. I went to school. We had one of our buildings that they got tore down after our year. We were the last class in there. It didn't have air conditioning. I mean, it had heat. It had good heat. It was a boiler system. That's both buildings were boiler system, but yeah, there was no air conditioning, and we would have class. It was a 2-story building with a basement. Now the basement was always nice. The basement was always about 68 degrees and humid, very humid. So it was a cold 68 degrees, and that was year round. And that's because it was it was underground for the most part. Now the second floor, it got pretty freaking warm in there. The windows didn't really work. We had doors that they'd open up to, for fire escapes. Those doors to kind of get some breeze in there. But yeah, we sweated our asses off in classes. Especially first part of the school year. We're in September, and we still get some really hot couple of days in there. We've even seen some good spikes in October, and then you get into March and April where one day you could have snow, the next day it could be 78, almost 80 degrees. So again, sorry I'm late today. I had some computer problems, and well, shit happens. So stumbled upon this, and I'd like to know where the fuck he got this from. I understand when you're away to keep the temperature up, unless you have pets inside. And think about the pets. you know, but not no fucking 85 degrees. And then we're only going to cool it down, 8 degrees, 7 degrees. Can't math right now. Oh, my cat's fucking hilarious. But 78 degrees, that's kind of sticky still. I mean, it depends on the humidity level. And then when you go to sleep, you're going to crank it back up to 82 degrees. You're trying to sweat your whole night. You want to have a sauna. I mean, we consider room temperature to be anywhere between 68 and 72 degrees. So you've got a lot of vegetables and a lot of your medications and shit that will say keep it room temperature. These temperatures are getting a little bit too high for those medications. But this has got to be from fucking Europe or something for the people that actually do have the air conditioners and having to pay XX amount to be able to have it. Excuse me. We drink milk here. I love milk. But yeah, that's just kind of funny. We got. Where do we start? This is. Whoops. The main subject of today, because this is going to take up pretty much everything I want to talk about. This is part of what I love about this country is these days celebrating what these great, young, brilliant for their time, what they did to get us to where we are now. If they hadn't taken a chance, we wouldn't be here. It'd be a whole different scenario. Who knows what we'd be? But so you hear people asking, we celebrate 4th of July, July 4th, as the Declaration. We've made the holiday. But is it the day that we should be celebrating? You can kind of go both ways on this. July 2nd, 1776, was when the Continental Congress officially declared its freedom from Great Britain. It was declared, it was a voter to approve a resolution submitted by Richard Henry Lee of Virginia declaring that these united colonies are and right ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. So, Congress voted on it. You had 2 delegates from every state for Congress. And they voted, all 13 colonies voted that we will declare our independence. So it was passed. For all purposes, it was passed. And John Adams, one of the founding fathers and one of the editors of the Declaration, along with Ben Franklin and a couple of others, John Adams was adamant that this is the day that we should celebrate, because this is the day that we actually did declare it through our legislative body that we were independent of England, Great Britain, whatever you want to call it. I still think Scotland should be separate from Great Britain, but so why do we celebrate then on the 4th? Well, that's when it got first getting signed. The final draft of the Declaration happened. During the time, starting July 2nd, after they voted, Thomas Jefferson sat down and wrote the Declaration. And then he was on the committee with Ben Franklin, John Adams, a couple of other people that really didn't do anything but just approve what was going on. It got edited down, and then we had a final vote on the verbiage of the Declaration that we are sending to the King of England, telling him to, hey, piss off. We're Americans now. We're our own country. Piss off. That happened on July 4th. So that's why the Declaration is dated July 4th, is because that was the final draft that was agreed to upon Congress, our delegations, and formally wrote. Now, it took time for a lot of them to sign it, but John Hancock is the all 56 delegates would sign it, various states. Many of the members, an engrossed version of in Philadelphia, August 2nd, 1776. So that was kind of the timeline of it. Most of them signed it that day, I guess. John Hancock, of course, he was the most famous of having his name big and proud. Now, what these 56 delegates did at the time of voting, having an idea that we can be a country out there, that was treason. That was just flat out treason against the crown. So these men could be in fear for their life, be thrown in jail for treasonous activities against the crown. John Hancock was one of the richest people at the time, out of Massachusetts, Boston area. And so he had a lot to lose. He made his money off of shipping goods back and forth between the Americas and England and other places. He was going to lose a lot if caught. And being that he was a major shipper, it was a big fuck you to the King George. Because they were kind of partners in trade and shit. And now it's, oh shit, we lost our biggest vendor, more or less, in the Americas. So he wanted to be proud of that if I'm going to stick my neck out there, you're going to know that I stuck my neck out there. I'm going to sign it so big that King George doesn't need any glasses to see my name. He could see my name from across the room, more or less. That was what was fun. That was hilarious. I don't think I got the brake fluid off my freaking glasses, guys. Damn. Anyway, I can't see for fuck. But, like I said, Jefferson wrote the Constitution and then it was edited. We've got edits here that was with Jefferson, John Adams, and Ben Franklin. And as we could see, the edits aren't over here. The edits are in here, I do believe, but from where the declaration here, it was multiple pages. Page 1, 2, 3, 4 pages long. There was a lot to it. Whoa. We read through it. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for people to advance from that subordination to which they have hitherto remained and assumed among the powers of the earth an equal and independent station to which the laws of nature and nature's God entitle them a decent respect. We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable, and that all men are created equal and independent. Now, that is a key phrase. All men are created equal and independent. That's a key phrase in the whole history of the United States. This is where a lot of black people don't understand the whole slavery shit. They haven't really researched it, done a lot of reading into it, knowing how the government was and everything. But this is a key point, because all men were created equal and independent. Jefferson believed that. We come down, it gets longer. We'll go through the main body, the one that we actually signed. Brain fart there. But we get into the laws, the representation, we can't have military, no trial by jury. There's a lot of different things that they were bitching about. And we get to page 3. So we'll go back a page. This is the part that got edited out that I'm sure the 1619 Project never fucking realized was there. If she did, and I'm ashamed that she went to the University of Iowa. I think she's one of the most pathetic human beings out there. And last I heard, she's failing so bad she's doing OnlyFans. So, yeah. This is the part of history that a lot of people just have gotten wrong about our views on slavery. Thomas Jefferson was a slave owner. Okay. Franklin, I think, had some, but he was gone more than he was home, especially during this, throughout the 1700s and 1770s and 1780s. He spent more time in Europe, I think, than he did in the U.S. and the colonies at the time. So, but we get into it. I like having this. This is from Princeton, but they've got actually have the original writings on this. Dude sat down and wrote this one night. But we get into here. He has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty in a person of distant people who never, whatever. We'll come over here. So this is what it says here. Obviously, some people can read a lot better than I can read. He has waged cruel war against human nature itself, violating its most sacred rights of life and liberty in the persons of a distant people who never offended him, captivating and carrying them into slavery in another hemisphere, or to incur miserable death in their transportation thither. This piratical warfare, the improbrium of infidel powers, is the warfare of the Christian king. Now come over here. He underlined Christian king of Great Britain. Determined to keep an open market where men should be bought and sold, he has prostituted his negative for suppressing every legislative attempt to prohibit or to restrain this execrable commerce, and that the assemblage of whores might want no fact of distinguished dye. He is now exciting those very people to rise in arms among us and to purchase that liberty for which he has deprived them, by murdering the people upon whom he had obtruded them, thus paying off former crimes committed against the liberties of one people with crimes which he urged them to commit against the lives of another. Powerful, powerful words. The back part of this, yes. The king was offering slaves money to join the British army against any type of rebellion in the colonies. Join us and you won't be a slave anymore. We'll pay you. But at the same time, making it not levying any types of laws to stop the slave trade. Not by any means. And it should be noted, too, that the open market where men, he made it capitalized. This is from a slave owner, but knew in his heart that this is wrong. A lot of people at the time, especially in the Philadelphia and New York, New Jersey areas, Pennsylvania areas, they didn't really have a lot of slaves. Pennsylvania, most notably the Mennonites, the Amish came, and they would rather work themselves than pay some or house somebody to work. They just had families. So a big chunk of our nation thought that it was morally wrong, and they had tried to fight it, but they couldn't get through to the king. We had taxation without representation, laws being implemented on us by a nation that's 1,000 miles away, roughly, and we couldn't take it anymore. But this was in there. It was to free the slaves, free everybody in the 13 colonies. Everybody was to be free. The problem, though, was you had the southern colonies that they were not going to be on board with that. They would not. We needed unanimous, more or less a unanimous decision to move forward with this separation from Great Britain. So this did get edited out. We go to the next, the draft, another draft of it. It's gone. Well, no, it made it into the second draft. It made it to the second draft. Still, men is all capitalized. Christian is still, I mean, a lot of this stuff is kind of underlined, but, it just wasn't right as a Christian standpoint to hold slaves. I mean, indentured servants were one thing where they worked off a debt to you. Um, and funny enough, the first that's what in 1619 when the slaves did first come over, they were all indentured servants. They worked their time and then were allowed to be free. And that it changed in 1650s or something like that, 1670s. I'd have to look it up. Anyway, a guy took it to court saying that no, I don't want to give him up. I want him to be a full-time fucking slave. And won in court, making indentured servitude a thing of the past. Now we're not going to let you be free. You're born here. You're going to die here. How many years in between? That's up to you. You can go by easy. You can go by hard. Don't fight back. Yeah. The person, which is very ironic, who it was a former indentured servant who got money from owning the plantation and ends up he's a black guy. I think his name was Jack Johnson. The first legal slave owner was a black person. You don't hear BLM fucking bitching about that. I have a good friend of mine. He originally is from Mississippi, and I told him, I said, hey, dude, did you realize that Mississippi, at the height of slavery, the 1850s, in Mississippi, there was more black slave owners than there were white slave owners. He's like, yeah, it doesn't surprise me none. There's a bunch of idiots down there, but his words. I haven't been through Mississippi, so I've been through Alabama a little bit. Different, very different. I will not say Roll Tide because I hate Alabama football. But yeah, we still wanted them to be free. We still wanted them to be free. But the final version of it, like I said, does not have it in there. Because they knew at this point in time that they're going to have to cut that out. This whole section has to get cut out. Yeah, it's different. Huh. Yeah, I mean, so after they voted, you've got John Adams, and he wrote these letters to his wife. And let's see if I can pull this one up. Oh, it don't zoom. Oh. Huh. Okay, it's been a hot minute since I read cursive, but he wrote to his lovely wife Abigail a lot. These were all on July 3rd, the day he ended the second day, but the day has passed. Okay, well, yeah, the day has passed. The second day of July 1776 will be the most memorable epoch in American history. Continues on to the next day. He said, I am apt to believe that it will be celebrated by succeeding generation as a great anniversary festival. It ought to be commemorated as a day of deliverance by solemn acts of devotion to God Almighty. It ought to be solemnized with pomp and parade, with shrews. I don't know what that is. So parades, bands, sports, guns, of course, guns. Bells ringing, bonfires blazing, and illuminations from one end of this continent to the other, from this time forward, forevermore. What does he mean by illuminations? Fireworks. Yeah, we had fireworks even then. There was some trade going on with China in roundabout ways to get fireworks, and we kind of knew how to make them too. But yeah, we had fireworks. That's what illumination. We called them illuminations at the time. So, and he was in firm belief that the July 2nd should be the day. That's the day that we voted to have our independence. Plain and simple. But it was overrode, and we get, like we see here in Congress, July 4th, 1776. We had to I forget how long we had to memorize this. I think it was through here. I think we had to memorize this section and recite it in front of the class. I forget which grade it was, but it was it it was great. I didn't have a problem with it. We also had to do the preamble to the Constitution. We, the people of the United States of America. But I'm hoping that we can get back into that. I mean, I know a lot of this has to do with the fucking goddamn teachers union. They have been a thorn in education's side. It's been it's declined so much. It really has. Uh, the Federalists had some numbers on that. We spend 150% more on kids now than we did in the 1970s, and yet the reading levels are lower now than they were then. It's terrible. The biggest thing in between there is the teachers union has had a stranglehold on the state, uh, and it's really sad. Teachers have their unions. They don't realize how bad they've been screwing them over. Reasons why you have to supply your own shit. You shouldn't have to supply your own stuff. When I was in school, we didn't bring shit. A box of Kleenex, pencils, paper. That was about it. That was about it. Number two pencils. Number two pencils, because we had the Iowa test the basic skills. And I don't even know if they do that anymore, but that's a different fucking subject altogether. Oh, I hear those lovely fireworks going off behind me. Um, Somebody's lighting them off close to where I live. That's awesome. Um, so we declared our independence July 4th, 1776. The final draft is being made, and we had printing presses, which was great to be able to have this. Uh, but we can start reading some of this. Where in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands to which they connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect of the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, and they are endowed by the Creator with certain unalienable rights, which among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To hold these secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it. It is the institute and to institute new government, laying its foundation on principles, organizing its power in such form as to them shall see most sufficient to affect their safety and happiness. Uh, yeah, your laws were by the king. A lot of people escaped over here because of religious persecution. Most of the signers of the Declaration of Independence were strong Christian men, not the same denomination. Presbyterians and Methodists and Lutherans never got along. And you get into the Amish and the Mennonite. These are all different sects of the Protestant faith that was first kicked off with Martin Luther. So they didn't get along religiously, but we also knew that there is an Almighty and there is somebody above us, and these are rights that have been taken from us that should be afforded to every man and woman, child, well, in the 13 colonies at the time, but in reality, the whole world. Refused to assent to laws were most wholesome and necessary for the public good, forbade his governors to pass laws of immediate and pressing importance unless suspended in their operation till his assent should be obtained, and when so suspended, he is ultimately neglected to attend them. Yeah, when you want to enact a new law in your province, your colony, we'll say Pennsylvania, you had to ask permission from the king. So, and it's not like today where I could type an email to the dude that's over 1,000 miles away, and he's going to get it instantly. No, we got to get it to the harbor. It's got to get on the ship. Ship set sail to England. That's at least 30 days, at least a month and a half to travel in the ocean to get to England. Then you got to get it to London, which is another few days by horseback. And then he's got to look at it. Now, is he going to look at it right away? Who knows? It might be years. It has been years. But then the same process coming back. You're talking 2 months easily. Well, there. 2 months back, 4 months. You've shot most of the year there. So it's kind of hard to answer to somebody that's that far away when correspondence takes forever. Things change. Sometimes things and situations change really fast, especially in the colonies. I mean, we had the French Indian War before that, I mean, you had Native Americans attacking, and we had peace treaties though and stuff. Um, but the whole thing in the Declaration here is calling him out. He's endeavored to prevent the population of these states for that purpose of obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners or refusing to pass others to encourage their migration hither and raising conditions of new appropriations of lands. That was the other thing. He could have wrote a note to this general in London and said, hey, I was looking at our colonies here, and there's a place down there in South Carolina, probably about 15,000 acres. Yeah, there's a couple of farmers on there already. Just go ahead. You can have that land. I'm giving that to you. Oh, if they want to protest, just kill them, bury them. It doesn't matter. Keep the slaves, though. Obviously, you're going to need the help. So they either leave peacefully or you bury them. Quartering large bodies of the armed troops. Soldiers might have some barracks, but if they were away from barracks, they could just walk in your home and I'm crashing here tonight. You can't do anything about it. I'm the king's soldier, part of the king's guard. You will do what the king said. Jury trials were kind of unheard of, even though we'd already have the Magna Carta and whatnot. A lot of the times it didn't get over to here because it was still the king's judges. So you still weren't getting fair trials anyway. He has excited domestic insurrection among us and has endeavored to bring on the inhabitants of our frontiers, the merciless Indian savages, whose known rule of warfare is indistinguished destruction of all ages, sexes, and conditions. Okay, yeah. You could see they kind of ran these together, but we just listed all this shit that cutting off our trade to the other part of the world. We couldn't trade with other countries if we wanted to trade with say Spain. We'd have to have permission from the king, otherwise it's bootlegging it and you could get in trouble. It, yeah, the military's in. It's just a bitch list, more or less, and it was it's very well written for the time, considering the ages of these people that were going. Uh, Franklin was the oldest, but and we end it with we therefore the representatives of the United States of America General Congress assembled, appealing to the Supreme Judge of the world for the rectitude of our intentions, do, in this name and authority of the good people of these colonies, solemnly publish and declare that these united colonies are, of right, ought to be free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown and to all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain, is and ought to be totally dissolved, and that the free and independent states, they have the full power to levy war, conclude peace, contract alliances, establish commerce, and to do all other acts and things which independent states may of right do. And for the support of this declaration, with the firm reliance on the protection of divine providence, We mutually pledge to each other our lives, our fortune, and our sacred honor. Which, if we go back that last paragraph, we go back to the first version. I thought they had cleared that was up in here. No, I must have been reading something else, but there it is in the nutshell. And the rest is kind of history after that. We became a great nation. Right after that, this John Hancock became our first president of the United States of America. I know my son got in trouble for it, and I laughed, but we go through history a lot. And it was really funny that he knew something. The teachers like it got him. The teacher didn't care for it, but he's like, they were talking about the presidents, and they said, George Washington's first president of the United States. My son said, no, there was 7 presidents before George Washington. No, you're wrong, Michael. You are very wrong. Wait, no. He knew better. He didn't argue. Thankfully, he didn't argue. But he is right. I told him that. We looked it up. We had the internet when he was a kid. We looked things up. I always told my son, if you don't believe what I'm telling you, we have this internet and you have it in your palm of your hand. Look it up. Do research yourself. I've been around for a while, yes. And I was part of the Generation X, that a lot of times when we were out with our parents, we were seen, not heard. And me being an only child, that we went to places where I had to just sit there and observe. And by observing, by listening, I've gained generational wealth of knowledge from people that were in their 70s and 80s, when in the early 80s, and hearing them talk through the Great Depression, World War I, World War II, life, different things, aspects about every little thing. And it's always intrigued me. I've always wanted to learn more and more and more. And history is one of the biggest aspects that I love the most. The problem that it took me a while to get over is knowing that most everything that I was taught in history wasn't the full truth, or wasn't put in there at all for reasons. And technology has helped, but we've disproven a lot of different things of history that really kind of pisses me off. But anyway, close. So Ben Franklin was, like I said, he was one of the editors, and he has always had some great quotes. One of his things that in the Declaration that he had edited in was, "We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable." Instead into an insertion of he was scientific, made a lot of inventions and shit, discovered electricity in a way. He liked Newton and stuff, but the theory of distinguishing between synthetic truths that describe matters of fact and analytic truths that are self-evident by virtue of reason and definition. Talking about our liberties and everything we've said in the Constitution. We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable. But this is a big one that we have forgotten as a society. The last great president to talk about that was JFK. And this quote is very powerful. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. We've given up rights. We've voted our rights away. We are more and more free than we were underneath the King of England pre July 2nd, 1776. We are no better. We have political judges. We have activist judges. Trials, juries are rigged, can be rigged. You know, we see, what the fuck did I do? We see all the civil rights violations by the cops on these channels. Not that all cops are bad, but they're getting better. They need more education on our laws and the Constitution, which we can get into another time. But we elect people and they vote our liberties away for safety. It's for your safety. Well, it's never been the government's job to keep us safe. The police are not there to keep you safe. They don't have to. They can think about their safety before they think about your safety. They can let you die to save their own life, not the other way around. These aren't Secret Service that are going to throw themselves in front of a bullet so the president doesn't get shot. These are police officers. Only you make your own safety. Safety is up to you. Learn that in all the freaking safety class meetings and OSHA training bullshit. It all boils down to safety is in the palm of your hand. If you want to be safe at work or at home or out and about or anything like that, it's on you to keep yourself safe. That's another reason why we have the Second Amendment, is to keep yourself safe. So we don't have to make laws to protect your ass, because that's not our job to protect you. Our job is to make sure that you're entitled to the Constitution and the amendments the way they're written. That's the government's job. It's not the government's job to take our money and feed the world. It's not. It never was their job. This is the ship that we voted in over the course of these years. This has a lot to do with the Constitution and how it was set up for voting. We've got a lot less population than Los Angeles, so that really doesn't have anything to do with today. God, fuck that. Boom. So 2:50 Saturday. I probably am not going to be on Saturday. It's 4th of July. We've got to go out and celebrate. I know I got to go see. I got to go get some fireworks, because it was kind of funny. Years ago, we finally allowed fireworks to be set off in Iowa. And it only took 1 year. Cedar Rapids said no more lighting off fireworks inside Cedar Rapids. We had too many fire calls. Again, we have 1 year average to go off of. That's you can't get a metric of understanding on how dangerous something is by just 1 year that you have allowed it to happen. So it was outlawed for a few years here in Cedar Rapids until our great state in the state house and senate, and our great governor, well, that's our great, but one good part, I'm still pissed at her about COVID. That, yeah, no, the cities can't do that, because that you're alienating a good chunk of people. You're criminalizing something that we legalized in Iowa, and you have no metrics to go off of. A 5-year average is normal. 10-year would be even great. First year, especially with fireworks, yes, they're dangerous. It's fucking gunpowder, for God's sakes. It's fucking gunpowder. Just short of nitroglycerin, which we can pack enough gunpowder, I swear, to get the effect of TNT. Especially when you start talking about tannerite and shit, pound for pound. The first year, yeah, there was going to be accidents and shit like that. Every dumb retard out there's got their hands on fireworks. They'll learn. I mean, sometimes we got to let shit happen. But the second year, if it's increased, okay, maybe third year, it should start going down. Fourth, fifth, sixth year, you should start going down and kind of plateauing with your injuries and fire calls. But Cedar Rapids and some other cities in Iowa never got it past the first year metric, or even allowed it to start off with in the first place. But now it's legal again in Cedar Rapids, so we're going to go light some fireworks off on Saturday. And I guess I could turn this on for a second here. I was planning on listening to this, but Trump went out to the Dakotas, and they had the Rough Riders ride in. Of course, the Rough Riders no longer. Teddy Roosevelt.
See President Trump, who just got off a train below. I know you guys showed a little bit of that. And now, oh, what a beautiful shot we have. This is the Rough Riders escorting the Beast, the president's vehicle, up this beautiful winding road that takes you to the top of this hill, which is where the Teddy Roosevelt Presidential Library is. So this is just an extraordinary scene, and they could not have a more gorgeous day for this. I know it's really hot back east. It's about 84 degrees out here, sunny.
That's pretty warm up there, too.
Not terribly humid. It's just a gorgeous day, and I would expect, knowing what we know about President Trump, he is going to absolutely love everything he's seeing on this.
It's kind of neat. I know the fucking lefty they've got an AI thing of Teddy Roosevelt there, and you can ask him questions. And Trump said, "Oh, I talked to Teddy Roosevelt at the museum." Oh, he's senile. He's senile. That's just AI, and he thinks he's talking to the real person. He died. Fucking retards. Just fucking retarded motherfuckers that think that shit. The same retards thinking that even this, if it is an AI image of the golden eagle up here, comparing it to Hitler's eagle, and it's like, are you fucking retarded on that too? This is just a wing spread open of the presidential seal. See the crest? The crest. And the crest, the wings are open. It's not holding anything. That could be where he kind of fucked up, but just little things. But I think that would look beautiful on the White House. Why not? It's a great presidential seal. Like I said, I would probably, I like the presidential seal, but again, it should have something in its legs, the arrows and the olive branch. So, haven't looked at oil prices lately. Our gas prices around here jumped pretty high, and that was after the weekend and shit. They jumped up about 40 cents overnight, and the markets are saying that they probably shouldn't have. Granted, it's 4th of July weekend, so that's probably the reason why we spiked everything. I don't have anything funny to go out on. Well, I guess they do that. Was I gonna? Oh yes, we mustn't forget the sacrifice this guy did for us on the 4th of July many years ago. So we'll leave it with this. I'm the same way. Good old Mark Twain. The more I learn about people, the more I like my dog. And I've seen people ask, well, do you think more of your dog than a human life? I've seen the evil in people. And yeah, I would say so. But I hate to leave us on a funny note, or on a bad note, but again, people, keep your thermostats up. If you are asleep, we're going to be going to bed here shortly. Get that temperature up to 82 degrees so you can sleep nice and comfortably. And just kidding. Yeah, go ahead. Well, we might see you Friday or Saturday. I don't know. I really don't know. So we might just celebrate. So if not, we'll see you on Tuesday at 7 o'clock Central Time. And God bless you all. Be safe this 4th of July. Happy 250th, America. Great to be here. The best country in the world. The most sacred place on earth. I couldn't have asked for a better place to be. And I'm happy to call this place home, along with everybody else that's here. So, God bless you. Stay safe. Have a happy 4th of July.